against Oklahoma. And then again, the Bears 24th in the nation, 22-15 overall. And we're underway with Hott leading off, the fifth-year senior who's having a power surge in her final year with the Bears. She's hit more home runs this season than she did in her first 3 years combined. Sending one to the left field. Bella Dayton is there. One away. Well, this is a Baylor team that has seen their season become a roller coaster, coming in with huge expectations. They returned nearly everybody from a team last year that won 40 games. Remember, a season ago, they were the only squad that beat Oklahoma. And in the first month of this year, they looked great. Beat 4 ranked teams in February. But then the injuries hit. They lost their star pitcher, Dariana Orm, for the season. Lost one of their best run producers on offense, Amber Tovin. Their leadoff hitter, Mackenzie Wilson. One of their top recruits, Lexi Warnicki. Kat, it has been a story of injuries for this Baylor team, and really a testament to them that they've still managed to remain ranked in the top 25 despite dealing with all of that.
Talking to Coach Glenmore, he said he thought he was going to have one of the best teams that he's ever had at Baylor this season, and he scheduled accordingly, knowing that everyone was coming back. The experience was there. He thought they would have the arms with 4, possibly 5 possible pitchers to choose from. But all that adversity has hit his team, and he did. He said, a testament to this team. They've dealt with the adversity. They haven't stopped. There's no complaining. There's no excuses. They're continuing to push through and find ways to win. But he did say, he was like, it was a night and day switch as soon as he lost all 4 of those that you mentioned, because he did think he was going to have a really strong roster this season.
Well, that one bobbled over at short by Vivi Martinez, so the Bears have their first base runner of the day. The shortstop, Martinez, who had been starting to come around defensively, commits the first error of the game.
And this ball, hard shot up the middle, but Martinez has a chance to make a play on that. It just pops out of her glove there.
A runner on for the All-American Shaylin Govan, who's having another great year, entered the series top 15 in the nation in batting average, and walked twice last night.
Govan, a transfer from Stephen F. Austin a year ago, really stormed on the scene for Baylor last year, hitting a home run in that win against Oklahoma, being the difference maker. All eyes then were on Govan from then on out. Home run numbers down a little bit this year because people are pitching her very carefully, but still able to have that above 400 batting average and still produce runs for these Bears.
Remember, this is a Baylor team that swept Texas last year, the first time they had done that since 2018. And Glenn Moore, the head coach of the Bears, told us that won't help us this year in this series, but I'm sure Texas hasn't forgotten about that. And if last night was any indication, he's dead on. Texas played highly motivated last night, a chip on their shoulder in that 14-1 win up in Waco.
Well, in postgame, the freshman Tegan Cavan, who pitched the first 5 innings for Texas, said there was conversation from the returners about what happened last year in the history of this matchup. So she said they knew what was going on, and they had the motivation and the energy getting off the bus to make sure it wasn't going to be a repeat.
Base knock for Govan, and Baylor in business here in the first inning. 2 of the first 3 batters have reached against Citlali Gutierrez. Gutierrez allowed just 1 run in a complete game victory over Oklahoma last weekend. And we have a challenge here in the opening moments of this contest, Kat. Can Govan at first with 1 away. And it does stand 2-1. So here comes the cleanup hitter, Abby Flores. Now this is a player, the sophomore out of Beaumont, Texas, who Glenn Moore said could end up being one of the best first basemen he's ever had. Golden opportunity for her here in the first.
Well, one of the best first basemen he ever had, who's going to actually catch today. Abby Flores, also a catcher, but he talks about the fact that she redshirted last year, having a back injury, so came in academically a sophomore. She's a redshirt freshman athletically. But offensively, it just has been so clutch for Baylor.
That one hops past Martinez, and Baylor has struck first. The Bears lead it 1-0 here in the top of the first inning.
Flores does a great job with this outside pitch. Gutierrez continuing to hammer the outside corner. Baylor adjusting early. Pylon with too much speed. There was no way Caden Henry was going to have a shot at her at home as soon as that ball got past Vivi Martinez. Baylor able to find the holes in the infield right now.
Well, if there has been a concern for Mike White this year, it has been first inning problems. In 5 of their 6 losses on the year, the opposing team has scored in the first inning and jumped out to that early lead. The RBI single from Abby Flores makes it a 1-0 game. We've seen that happen a few times this year with Citlali Gutierrez. Now, Mike White said earlier in the season she was nervous.
On the flip side, Texas and Citlali Gutierrez not being predictable.
Here is the local product out of Georgetown, just up the road, Sydney Collazos, who's turned into one of the best defensive catchers in the Big 12. Thrown out 10 base runners this season. Trying to come through offensively here in the first. Washington backing up, can't get to that one. And the runners will hold on first, second, and third. Bases loaded for the Bears here in the top of the first. Managing to get these balls just past the Texas middle infielder.
Wide of the plate.
Here is Aaliyah Binford swinging away on the first pitch to deep right field, and that one lands in deep right field. Maloney couldn't hang on, 2-run score, and Baylor has jumped out to the 3-0 lead here in the first.
Well, Binford, this pitch over the heart of the plate. She is on time for it. Ashton Maloney, a little hesitation out there in right field, turns the wrong way, unable to come up with that catch. Again, Baylor making the most of their opportunities right now against Texas.
What a first inning for the Bears, who were held to 1 run last night in Waco. And in their previous matchup, a midweek contest against UTSA, scored just 2 runs against the Roadrunners. Four consecutive hits for Baylor off of Citlali Gutierrez.
And Alex, this is the second start for Gutierrez that her first couple innings have been shaky. Texas State got to her early in Wednesday's game as well. Sophomore has to be able to come out, attack the zone, but at the same time be ready to stretch it and mix speeds early. As we mentioned, so much film for opposing people to know exactly what you throw. You have to be ready to compete.
There's a called strike 3 on the freshman, Leah Cran. So 2 on now and 2 away after the strikeout of Cran.
Well, there are 3 pitches, that an off-speed pitch over the heart of the plate, but because of the speed differential, Cran unable to make an offering at that one. Big second out, though, for Gutierrez after 4 straight hits.
Again, this is a Baylor offense averaging just under 4 runs per game. They've already scored 3 here in the opening frame. On a Watson taking ball 1. And that one hits her. Stelchek is warming up in the Texas bullpen. That is now 6 different Baylor batters that have reached already in the opening inning.
2 outs here in the first, and this is the 9th batter that Baylor has sent to the plate. So the entire lineup is going to see Citlali Gutierrez here in the top of the first.
Bases loaded again for the Bears. Here's Casey West. Chops one over Gutierrez. Martinez has to hurry the throw in time. Texas comes into this one averaging about 7.5 runs per game, the 6th highest scoring team in the nation. as they face Aaliyah Binford in the circle, the Big 12 leader in strikeouts, who's bounced back from off-season knee surgery to make now her 13th start of the season in the circle. Ashton Maloney chops one. Diving for it is Cran on to first in time. Heck of a play by Leah Cran.
Well, Ashton Maloney set the table for Texas yesterday. First pitch, a single up the middle. This looks like it could be a single in the 3-4 hole, but Leah Cran, nice diving play. Doesn't even get up to her knees, makes the flip from the ground. Big first out for Baylor to continue the momentum.
Here's Mia Scott, the all Big 12 third baseman. She's been as consistent as they come throughout her career. Hit .377 in each of her first 2 years. And batting .390 so far this year. She went yard on just the 9th pitch of the game last night to make it 2-0 Texas as they jumped on Baylor in a hurry in Waco. Takes one to left field. First hit of the game for Texas. Longhorns with the base runner now for Vivi Martinez. And this is a player who's really starting to heat up over the last few weeks and return to her record-setting form of a year ago. Remember last year she set the Texas freshman mark for RBIs in a season. And she went through a stretch where she was in and out of the lineup, working on some defensive stuff, getting her swing together. And had a great series against OU and had 2 hits last night against Baylor.
Well, as a sophomore, there's more data out there on you. There's more film to show what you can and you can't hit. And she's been working really hard with Coach Singleton in the batting cage, knowing about what pitchers are going to do to her. Are they going to try to attack her in, being able to get her barrel there? Also just trusting her approach. A lot of times you have an approach for a middle out, and if they don't give it to you, you get frustrated and start to swing at things that you normally wouldn't, but has really been doing a good job of getting back to the basics, sticking to her approach, but also working on being able to hit the inside pitch. And we saw that actually on Wednesday. She hit a double down the right field line for an RBI. So really able to hit both sides of the plate now.
In just a year and a half, has 100 career hits. Hit that mark last night. Reached 6 times last weekend against the Sooners, as Texas took 2 of 3. Martinez slices one to left field. And now the Longhorns with 2 on and 1 away. That one got away from the third baseman. The throw to third, and both runners wisely advance 2 in scoring position for Texas. This is an aggressive base running team. They will take advantage of situations like that, overthrows and miscues.
Well, when you talk about taking advantage of things, Mia Scott is the ringleader of that for this Texas ball club. If she believes she can get to the next base, she is going to 100% go for it. You saw Flores backing up the throw from left field, but Mia Scott, already having rounded second, knew that she would be able to have the advantage, push the envelope, get to third, and Vivi Martinez follows up with her extra 60 feet.
Here's Reese Atwood, 3rd in the nation in RBIs. It was 1 week ago today that Atwood came up with one of the most memorable plays in recent Texas history, somehow hanging on to that ball at home plate to tag Oklahoma's Maya Bland and end the game in dramatic fashion against the Sooners.
Reese Atwood is always interesting to me, Alex. Recruited more for her defense, which obviously you're talking about that play defensively, a solid catcher, but has made a name for herself because of her offense, both last year and her hot start to this 2024 season.
Atwood back up the middle. She delivers 1 run, scores, and Texas is on the board.
Well, Reese Atwood drives this outside drop ball just right back up the middle. Too hard for Vivi Martinez to score from second, but Mia Scott does come in from third. Texas cuts into this 3-run deficit against Baylor.
3 straight hits off of Binford, and Texas will send in a pinch runner over at first for Reese Atwood. Atwood 56 RBIs on the year, tied for 5th all-time in a single season in Texas history. Adea Wallace at first, Vivi Martinez at 3rd. And here is the hot-hitting freshman Katie Stewart at the plate. Stewart coming off such a memorable weekend against OU, especially when you consider everything she's been through over the last month. After an amazing start to her career, got the call in March that her grandmother had passed away, was obviously completely devastated. And understandably so, they were incredibly close. So Katie took some time away from the team to be with her family, but Mike Waite said even when she got back, didn't seem quite right, was putting too much pressure on herself. But when the rival Sooners came to town, a switch flipped. She delivered a game-winning double on Saturday and launched a game-winning homer on Sunday as Wallace steals 2nd. What a season for Katie Stewart so far.
Well, when you talk about the sophomore and where she's comfortable hitting, at home she is hitting .458. So in the confines of McComb. And right now Texas hoping to see that here against Aaliyah Binford. Ball out into the grass can tie this game with the speed of a Wallace on second base.
Binford 1 ball away from loading the bases. Full count coming up. Wind is blowing out to left. Stewart has cracked a few windows in batting practice this year out beyond left field. The grad student housing. She also leads the team in walks, earns one there, and the bases will be loaded for Texas. 4 straight Longhorns have reached.
Well, when you say Katie Stewart, Alex, you obviously mentioned that she's a freshman, but for a freshman, she has so many quality at-bats and mature at-bats at that situation, an opportunity for a freshman maybe to get a little bit anxious and make things happen. But Katie Stewart, good eye, passes the bat to Alyssa Washington.
The captain, Alyssa Washington, chops one to 3rd. It gets away from Hot. Here comes Wallace, and Texas tacks on 2 more runs. Stewart is out at 3rd. But the Longhorns still managed to tie the game at 3.
Well, Alyssa Washington pounds this one into the ground over the shortstop pylon. The bobble out in left field by Hot allows Adea Wallace to score, who was actually holding up, and Katie Stewart thought that Wallace was going to go, gets herself in a pickle. Not bad base running by
Laura King. And the call is overturned. They do call obstruction on Collazos at 3rd. So Texas will now have 2 in scoring position with just 1 away.
So why this is obstruction is as Katie Stewart goes to dive, Collazos is her foot right there, does not allow Katie Stewart a clear path to the base. So regardless of the throw being ahead of time, Stewart had no chance to get to third base without being obstructed by the foot of Collazos.
Caden Henry snared by Binford. They got Stewart, the freshman, in a rundown and eventually make the tag. 2 away now as runners advance to 2nd and 3rd here in the bottom of the 1st inning. So 2 away now for Jolie Mitchell, the transfer from Notre Dame, who's been a big addition to this lineup, leading the Longhorns in doubles so far this year.
Well, Alex, you talked about in the first hit of this game when Vivi Martinez singled to left how Mia Scott was going to look to take advantage of errors and hesitation to get extra bases. The trail runners for Texas right now are doing a great job of making sure they get themselves in scoring position while their teammates are in rundowns or while Baylor is focusing on another runner. Caden Henry during that play between 3rd and home, able to get herself to 2nd.
Mitchell over to 2nd, scooped up by Cran. And the first inning is start off with Emily Hott here to begin the top of the second.
We highlighted Hott in the first, Alex, and said that she needed to get going, and she was actually the first out. It was everyone after her that was able to create the runs and continue to put the pressure on Citlali Gutierrez.
What did you see out of Gutierrez in that first inning? She's had moments of brilliance this season, but obviously was on the ropes a bit there, giving up 4 singles and also hitting a batter.
Felt like Baylor was ready. They had a plan. It looked like they were ready to sit on the outer half and able to drive the ball. And you saw Emily Hott. She flew out to left field, but that was an outside pitch. Presley Pylon drove an outside pitch. Then you saw Govan and Flores do the same thing. So they had a plan and they stuck to it. Now Gutierrez is going to have to use both sides of the plate and be able to mix that off speed in. I say early, but early and often. Use it to her advantage. Almost force Baylor to guess when the hard stuff's coming instead of just being surprised on the slow stuff.
Called strike 2. Hott was ready to head over to first. Had a good series against Texas last year, reaching 5 times. Came up with 2 hits against the Horns last night. Payoff pitch. And a leadoff walk. That's a rarity from Gutierrez. This is something they worked on during the offseason with her. Mike White noticed she was bouncing around a lot in the circle, never really getting properly set before delivering a pitch. So she had her get set this year, count to 3 before starting her windup. The numbers certainly show that it's helped. She came in averaging a walk every 3 innings this year.
Go up in the zone, down in the zone. But most importantly, she can combat left-handed hitters, which is what Citlali Gutierrez was struggling with a bit against this Baylor lineup.
Texas waited for that one to turn foul. Check is the first Texas player since Haley Dolcini to earn NFCA and Big 12 Pitcher of the Week honors in the same week. Great story of perseverance. Came to the coaching staff at about the midway point of the season. Said, how do I get more appearances? I'm not getting as many starts as I did a year ago. They said, don't worry, just keep doing what you're doing. You will get your opportunities. And they have come in conference play. Unfortunately for her, nothing she could do by the time it bounced in her glove. Baylor, the first 2 batters on here in the second.
Well, with that story, Coach White telling Czech, it's nothing you're doing wrong. You're not getting pitching time because you can't do it, but everyone else is throwing so well that they're letting, we mentioned Gutierrez has 3 complete games in Big 12 play.
Stort doesn't know where it is, and the runners advance. Now, Katie Stort, not the usual starting catcher, but they're giving Reese Atwood a day off behind the plate.
Well, Stewart has flip-flopped with Atwood throughout the season behind the plate, but right now in this pressure situation, the freshman just getting a little mixed up back there, but Estelle Czech falling behind Baylor's not hottest hitter, but most powerful hitter in Shaylin Govan right now.
The All-American Govan singled in the first, and that one hits her. Bases loaded for Baylor again. This is a night and day difference from a game we saw less than 24 hours ago. In the first run of the game in the first. And falls behind 0-2.
There you see Czech using her curveball away, keeping it low at the knees, expanding the plate away from Flores.
Got her. Big strikeout for Estelle Czech.
Well, that curveball by Czech, when she can stair step it, it is almost unhittable. She threw 2 in the zone. This one she takes off the plate, but Flores having to protect, cannot stay with that one. A big strikeout because now Texas defense can shift back into normal range and possibly turn a double play to get out of this inning.
Czech delivers strike 1 to Sydney Collazos, the senior out of Georgetown. And again, Czech ahead 0-2 to a Baylor batter.
Good response by Czech to go ahead and work ahead of both Flores and Collazos after hitting Govan. Right now, I would say the scales tip in the favor of Estelle Czech. Collazos only hitting .215 against left-handed pitching.
Collazos, Washington underneath it. 2 big outs reported by Czech and the Longhorns as the runners remain around the bases. Now for Aaliyah Binford. Binford delivered a big 2-run double in the first. Swing and a miss.
That's the second hitter in a row that Estelle Czech has used that off-speed pitch for the first pitch. She's showing Baylor that she'll attack the zone, but she's not letting them get on time from the first pitch on.
Showing why she's the reigning national pitcher of the week. Had 2 brilliant appearances against Oklahoma, not allowing a single earned run or walk. Trying to get out of a jam here against Baylor in the second. Binford lifts one to center. Henry backing up and makes the grab. Texas gets out of a jam. Baylor lead.
No one is safe.
That was Oklahoma's first Big 12 loss since 2017. Sooners have lost as many games this year as they had in the previous couple of years combined. Bella Dayton fouls one off. Duke losing to Campbell midweek. And Texas trying to avoid that trend today. Number 1 taking on number 24.
When you're at Texas, you end your game last night and see all those scores around the country, and you just can't get comfortable. You have to know that
just past and look being hot.
Anything can happen on any given day, and all these ranked matchups, especially all the SEC matchups, and we can talk about that too, Alex. You know, Texas OU moving over to the SEC next year. Every weekend is going to be a dogfight.
You look at how many SEC teams are ranked, and you send 2 of the top 5 teams in the country, including the number 1 squad, Texas and Oklahoma, to the SEC next year. What a schedule as Dayton waved at that one for the strikeout. First K of the day for Aaliyah Binford.
Well, Binford using her changeup there low in the zone. Bella Dayton going to the slap after driving 2 down the left field line. But great execution, speed-wise and location by Binford on Bella Dayton.
Ashton Maloney, that one jammed her a bit. Pylon scooping it up, and it pulled the first baseman Govan off the bag.
Well, Ashton Maloney's speed makes Pylon have to rush, and the throw does take Govan off the bag.
Like Govan may have tagged Maloney. There's a discussion now among the umpires.
Yeah, I think Govan,
like she still got the out.
She does reach behind to attempt to tag Maloney. Looks like her glove got her. Home plate umpire says she sees the tag. Therefore, Ashton Maloney is out. But heads up play by Govan, knowing she was being taken off the bag to then reach behind and apply the tag.
By the Bears, here is Mia Scott, who got things going with Texas's first hit of the game in the first inning.
Alex, I'm going to point out right there, you didn't have to use an actual review in order to get that overturned. A lot of times you can still ask for help from the umpires, and that's exactly what happened there. Is Bubba Ewald at first base said he understood what everyone was arguing, and he went and asked the home plate umpire if she saw the tag, and sure enough, she did.
That was an adventure, but Wackendorf hangs on in center field. An offensive onslaught in the first inning, 6 total runs. Both teams held off the board in the second. Here we go to begin the third. The 7, 8, 9 hitters due up for Baylor. The Bears have had the bases loaded in each of the first 2 innings. Martinez backs up as Cran pops up for the first out.
Well, after the two base runners got on Presley Pylon off of a single off of Estelle Check, and then she hit Shaylin Govan. Estelle Check really called time, got the team together, took a deep breath, and from there settled in. Has been very efficient since then. You see that retiring Leah Cran there on the first pitch, and every hitter she's faced so far has been 3 pitches or less. She's going right at them.
That bunt attempt popped up right into the glove of Katie Stewart as Anna Watson retired.
Well, in this bunt, backdoor curveball up in the zone a little bit, and Watson trying to put that ball in play. Katie Stewart easily able to handle it, but the spin of Estelle Check is going to induce quite a few pop-ups if she hits her spots correctly, because everything is upspin. Curveball, backdoor curve with a little bit of a rise. She's going to induce a lot of fly balls, especially in the infield if she jams right-handed hitters.
She's only had to throw 5 pitches so far in this inning, but falls behind the 9-hitter, Ashlyn Walkendorf.
Alex, you talk about the perseverance of Estelle Check and her asking the coaching staff what they need to see for her to be able to get more innings. Walkendorf on the flip side for Baylor, primarily a pinch runner, but with all the adversity they face, the injuries and having to move people around, she's had to move into the everyday lineup, play outfield. And Alex, she's the sole reason that the Baylor Bears beat the UTSA Roadrunners Tuesday night, excuse me. She had both RBIs. So down in the 9-hole, able to make things happen. And Coach White said Coach Moore couldn't be more pleased that it's paying off for Walkendorf.
Watches that one miss the strike zone. Full count on the way. Estelle Check has retired 5 in a row. Chopped over to first. Jolie Mitchell is there, steps on the bag. And a 1-2-3 inning. Hold on just a second. Not quite done yet. Here with the top of the 3rd.
The home plate umpire has the call on this, and Jolie Mitchell looked like she fielded it across the line. We'll see here on the replay, the hopper. Oh yeah, it looked like the ball was tailing across the foul line, but good heads up by Jolie Mitchell to go ahead and make the play. But Coach White in Texas have no more reviews. They used both of their reviews in the first inning.
New life for Walkendorf. One reaches the stands here at McCombs Field. Another good crowd on hand. This place was electric last weekend. You were here for a number of those games against Oklahoma. 3-2 on the way. Up the middle, Washington drifting over. And there is the 1-2-3 frame. We're joined by Baylor head coach Glenn Moore. And Coach, coming off last night, what did you say to your team in between games? Because they responded early in this one with 3 runs right off the bat.
Well, I just made reference to games in the past that we've responded to with former teams and how it could be done, and to make sure we didn't make too big of a deal out of it. We could have, a loss is a loss regardless if it's 1 run, and if you make more of it, then you're going to have trouble recovering from it. But this team's got a lot of leadership, and it's got a lot of heart, so I expected them to respond to it this way.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Glenn Moore, fresh off his 900th win as head coach of the Baylor Bears. He told us earlier this week it means a few things. 1, I'm lucky to be at one place for an extremely long time. And 2, I'm really, really old. I would say wise.
Wise. Experience.
Yes, there you go.
He did also touch on just a monumental accomplishment like that, being able to reflect back on who all has helped him get there. And, he mentioned Brittany Sneed Newman, who is his pitching coach and has been a long time with him at Baylor and actually pitched for him at LSU when he was the head coach there, as well as the late Mark Lumley, who was his assistant for a long time. And of course, he said all of his players that have helped get those 900 wins. And you see the All-American, all-everything. I'll brag on her a little bit. She was my role model growing up. She went to school in the same district as I did, and I grew up wanting to be like Brittany Sneed.
Speaking of terrific pitching, how about the strikeout there by Binford, who has now struck out 2 of the last 4.
Well, both strikeouts that Binford has so far in this game are on this off-speed pitch. This changeup, she keeps it knee-high, and it drops down out of the zone. Texas is going to have to figure out how to recognize that earlier, either stay down with it or lay off it. I believe Vivi Martinez and Bella Dayton both, neither one would have been called a strike if they hadn't offered at that changeup.
Reese Atwood takes strike 1. Remember, 5 of the first 6 batters of the game for Texas reached, none since. Binford has settled down in the circle. We talk about all the injuries that Baylor has dealt with. She has managed to battle through hers. Again, had off-season knee surgery. Hasn't been 100% for most of the year, but still has done a great job leading the Big 12 in strikeouts. She was a great hitter pre-injury, still kind of working into form at the plate.
Well, with the fact that they've had the injuries to Dariam Orm and Lexi Warnicki means that Binford is very valuable to them right now, so they can't really afford for her to get overused, to get taxed, even to get hurt hitting or base running. So Coach Moore saying while she just got fully released to be in the everyday lineup hitting, he has to sometimes weigh the risk and reward of her being in the lineup versus what happens in the what-if situations.
Atwood did not go around. Glenn Moore scheduling an incredibly tough schedule. He said, listen, we made that schedule according to the talent we were supposed to have, but then you lose 4 key players, and that changes things quite a bit. Two and 2 from Binford.
Well, and really, they went out to California and made some noise, had a couple upset wins, which is really what got them their name in the rankings. And then it was after that that everyone kind of started to fall.
Reese Atwood, that one nearly snared by Cran, was able to knock it down, but Atwood reaches, that's Texas's first hit since the first inning.
Well, this a changeup. Reese Atwood waits on it and drives the other way. Leah Cran with almost another Sports Center type diving play in the 3-4 hole.
There's Katie Stewart. That one misses.
But Alex, what set up that hit for Reese Atwood was the pitch that they appealed down to first on was Atwood was able to lay off it in a full count situation. Binford had to bring it up. Atwood was ready for it and drove it the other way.
So Atwood 2 for 2. Again, number 3 in the nation in RBIs. Here is Katie Stewart taking strike 2. Stewart hit a home run last weekend against Oklahoma that actually bounced off a fan's leg outside the left field wall, and that fan tried to get her to autograph it after the game, saying, look, you hit me, I'm the one. Into foul territory. Ego Van makes the grab near the netting, out number 2.
So yeah, the power of Stewart negated right there. Another off-speed pitch by Binford. We talked about the key, Alex, was going to be that Binford had to keep Texas uncomfortable in the box. The changeup right now has been the equalizer. Texas unable to recognize it and drive it.
There was Alyssa Washington. Came up with a big base knock in the first inning as Texas tied it up at 3. She's having a career year at the plate with 6 home runs. Had a couple of 2 home run games, one against Houston a few weeks before that, against Tarleton.
Well, as a coach, what you want to see is an athlete evolve and get a little bit better every single year, and Alyssa Washington has been able to do that. As a freshman, played sporadically. As a sophomore, was asked to step in at shortstop. She was able to right the ship. We've talked about it, Alex. As soon as she got put in, Texas was able to make that run to the World Series, and then on the offensive side has now been more of a threat than any point in her career.
And earns a 2-out walk. Well, here comes a dangerous hitter with 2 on, the top 5 recruit in the nation, Caden Henry, who's lived up to the hype. I mean, not only offensively, hitting nearly 400, she has made so many sensational catches in center field this year. And she takes ball 1. Saw it last weekend against Oklahoma with a diving grab, and the weekend before against Oklahoma State as well with some heroics in center.
Well, the freshman has so many tools offensively. Short game, she can move runners, she has power. We've seen her leave the yard. But at the same time, the speed she possesses in the outfield is why you talk about how many plays she's able to make. And let's not forget, she was the beginning of the relay play that you mentioned Reese Atwood held on to end Saturday's game against Oklahoma. She delivered a great throw to Vivi Martinez off the wall without hesitating. As soon as she knew she didn't catch it, she turned, fielded that cleanly, and got a great throw in to start that relay. Mature defense from a young athlete.
A lot of players would have been rattled that that ball got past them in center field. That wasn't the case with her, as the freshman responded with a perfect relay throw to Martinez and then on to Atwood. Again, it's a 2-0 count from Binford. There she catches the strike zone against Henry.
Binford, as I mentioned, starting to use that changeup more, but using it in hitters' counts now too. 2-0. A lot of times, a hitter will have the green light to swing aggressively, but when you can throw that off-speed pitch in a hitter's count, it's going to make them a little more hesitant to go ahead and unleash.
3-1 with 2 already on for Texas. Chopped up the middle. That'll bring home the go-ahead run as Reese Atwood scores. Texas grabs the 4-3 lead. Caden Henry does it again.
Well, after working the count, this pitch up in the zone, over the plate. Henry gets on top of it, but a high enough chopper gets through the middle infield past pylon. 2 outs. Reese Atwood moving. Gives Texas the lead.
And looking for more is another first pitch ball from Binford to Jolie Mitchell, who grounded out in the first inning. She was an all-ACC first teamer a year ago with Notre Dame. Great bat, ended the season on a 35-game on-base streak, and Mike White was thrilled to bring her over in the portal. And now really the second time through the order, Binford starting to labor again.
Well, Texas much more patient the second time through. Now, granted, the first time through it paid off. A lot of early in that bat singles, but then Binford started using the off speed, stretching the plate a little bit. Texas starting to be more patient and force her to get deeper in counts.
Third straight 3-ball count. A hitter's count for Mitchell. Binford is there in the circle.
They trusted their offense, knew that they'd be able to chip away. They didn't try to go for one big swing for a 3-run home run to tie it. They were able to pass the bat, just as Baylor did in the top half. Concerning is just the start from Citlali Gutierrez. The sophomore has been very sure-handed for Texas, so they're going to need her to get back in the groove as they proceed through Big 12 play. But we've got a good one on our hands right now, Alex.
Stelcheck falls behind 2-0 to the leadoff hitter Emily Hott, who walked in the second. It's another close game for Glenmore's squad. They have played in 13 one-run games on this season, just an incredible number. 7-6 in those contests. I mean, when you think about they played Oklahoma State recently, a top 5 team in the country, Baylor led in the 7th inning in every single one of those games, but could only hang on for 1 victory in that series.
Well, he talked to us about it, how many games they've lost in the 7th inning, but yet they hadn't won any in the 7th yet.
Hott lifts one to center field. Henry backing up, and this one off the wall. Emily Hott rounding second, and she will end up on third. The wind got a hold of that one and helps put the tying run over at third base to start things off here in the 4th.
Well, Emily Hott, this pitch, an inside pitch. She gets under it, but Caden Henry thought it was a little bit more shallow, didn't take off, retreating to the wall until a little bit too late. See it ricochet off the wall and off Henry. Ashton Maloney able to get it in, but Hott, a stand-up triple.
Chopped over to Mitchell. Tags the batter, and she had her eye over at third on Hott to make sure she stayed there, 1 away.
Well, great defense by Mitchell and great base running by Pylon. Pylon stopping, forcing Mitchell to have to come in and tag her, not stepping backwards, which would dead ball the play, not that Hott was moving. But Mitchell's first movement was almost to go back to the bag, and Hott started to move towards home plate. Mitchell keeping her eye on Hott, keeping her over there at third base.
Here's Shaylin Govan, 42 career home runs. She's a former National Freshman of the Year finalist, coming off-season shoulder surgery. But again, has been one of the top batters in the nation, batting average-wise. Mentioned she had that surgery. She was nervous, she admitted, coming into the season. Very first game was against Carlin Pickens in Tennessee, and she thought, how am I going to do? What am I going to do out here? Am I going to be the same hitter? Well, she started off the year reaching base safely in her first 26 games. So she certainly looks like the Shaylin Govan of old. One-two stroked, foul to left. Just a natural hitter.
Well, such a natural hitter, and was actually at Stephen F. Austin to be both a pitcher and a hitter, and they had a coaching change, and she was talking about getting in the portal, and I think the conversation was, you can be so good as a hitter, maybe the pitching thing needs to be put to rest, and obviously playing first base and hitting for Baylor now.
That one just missed. She's hitting 600 on the year with runners in scoring position. And as you saw, one of the most patient batters on the team. Sorry. It's the payoff pitch here. Lifts one to right. Maloney drifting over towards center and makes the grab, but the runner Hott tags and scores, and we are tied again. Sac fly by Govan. What a battle here in game number 2 of the series, back and forth between number 1 Texas and number 24 Baylor. Abby Flores swings at the first pitch, shallow left center, hauled in by Martinez, and the inning Texas here in the bottom of the 4th. Bella Dayton swinging away, and a leadoff single for the senior. It's good news for Texas. When Bella Dayton gets a hit over the last 2 years, the Horns are 38-8. Catalyst for this offense in the 9 spot.
Well, the intensity Bella Dayton brings in the box is just contagious, and she has this extra gear. We like to call it postseason Bella, but even when the game's on the line, she's able to bring it out, and Ashton Maloney feeds off the single from Bella Dayton with a bunt single of her own, able to beat Leah Cran over to the bag.
So much speed between Dayton and Maloney. Texas with 2 on. Tying run on its second in the form of Bella Dayton, and here comes Mia Scott.
The placement of that bunt just so nice, and Binford bailing out, so Govan. Mia Scott, known in this game for so many different things. Her
Pylon
speed.
goes to third, and they get the force in time.
Well, heads up by Pylon there. She fields this and actually looks like she might go to first, but she sees that she checks Bella Dayton. I don't know why she checks her. It was a force play. Should have just been going 3 all the way, but Criazzo is able to get back in the bag just in the nick of time. Wasn't sure she was going to get her foot on the bag, but able to get there and secure the throw for the first out.
Glenn Moore called Presley Pylon one of the best shortstops he's ever seen. She threw out 2 Texas base runners at home plate last night.
And you talk about the injuries that Baylor has, and Amber Tovin actually is Baylor's normal everyday shortstop, and Pylon plays second. The two of them grew up playing travel ball together for Athletics Mercado, went to separate schools, and then they both were unhappy and both decided to transfer to Baylor. Glenn Morris says, I have a middle infield that basically has played their whole lives together. I don't have to do a lot of instructing. I let them feed off each other. But with Tovin going out, Pylon has now moved over to shortstop, but he does say she might be the best middle infielder he's ever had at Baylor.
Trying to keep it a tie game as the count evened up at 2 to Vivi Martinez.
Well, this is the changeup that Binford's throwing, and we talked about Texas being able to lay off of it for it to be a ball. That ball a little bit low below the knees for a strike call, but nonetheless, Vivi Martinez is going to have to fight it off.
That one finds its way to right field, and Texas has regained the lead. Vivi Martinez with an RBI single, 5-4 Longhorns.
Well, after that low changeup call, Binford gives her another changeup, and Vivi Martinez drives that right past a diving Leah Cran in the 3-4 hole. The speed of Ashton Maloney able to score from second. And Mia Scott now 60 feet away, looking to be another run here in the 4th inning for Texas.
And here comes the red-hot Reese Atwood, 2 for 2 on the day. Swinging at the first pitch, she'll drive in another as that one bounces to left. The Longhorns extend their lead. Atwood is 3 for 3.
Texas fans love it, but Reese Atwood, this ball, a drop ball, gets on top of it, but gets the high hop over Criazzo's there at third into left field. Again, Mia Scott able to score. Texas still runner in scoring position with Vivi Martinez at second. Texas just stringing the singles together right now, passing the bat, building off each other.
Especially with the 3 and 4 hitters in the lineup, Martinez and Atwood are 5 for 6 on the day. Here's Katie Stewart. Walked in the first inning.
And really, Texas making the most of their chances. 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position, so over 500 there.
Binford continues to battle out there. Remember, this is an extremely short-handed Baylor staff that is down to about 3 pitchers at this point in the season. Conversely, Texas has the deepest staff of the Mike White era.
Coach White and pitching coach Patty Ruth Taylor really have 5 arms that they can go to at will. And they're all very different, so I think that's not only the deep, it's complementary.
Called strike 3 on Katie Stewart. Leah Binford with the heavy workload this season. So impressive, especially coming off that knee surgery. Now with 2 outs here and 2 on for Caden Henry. It's Alyssa Washington who delivered an RBI single in the 3rd inning. The captain having such a strong year at the plate, untied the game in the 3rd, has come up with so many clutch hits this year. Lays off that one as the count goes 2-0. Texas as a team, #2 in the nation in batting average, came in hitting .367.
Binford starting to get work behind these Texas hitters just a little bit. See her get 2-0 on Washington.
And that one hits her up high. Shakes it off, and the bases will be loaded for Texas.
Center fielder, Caden Henry.
So the base is now loaded for the Longhorns and the freshman Caden Henry, who drove in a run in the 3rd. Binford misses. Texas hitting .538 today with runners on. Another 2-0 count.
Well, Binford continuing to work away from these left-handed hitters. We saw Bella Dayton adjust with the drive up the middle. Ashton Maloney using small ball. But really that off-speed pitch is the only offering that she's throwing inside at all to lefties. And you see it right there, still misses low in the zone. But there's nowhere to put Caden Henry right now.
There is strike 1 from Aaliyah Binford. She struck out 3 and walked 2. Now up over 80 pitches on the day. Henry to center field, and a diving grab made by Walkendorf. Coach, your team was facing one of your biggest deficits of the season, down 3-0 in the first. What was the message to your team?
Well, we got to bounce back. I mean, there's going to be one of those days. Just kind of felt like it was going to be one of those days. There's going to be a lot of runs scored, and it's not over yet, you know. So we just keep working hard, going to play some good defense, and hope Estelle can shut them down.
Coach, you lead me right into Estelle Check has been absolutely stellar for you, coming in big situations, able to shut down offenses. How have you transitioned her into that mindset, coming from being a starter for the first couple years here at Texas?
Well, I think she's just wanting to do anything to help the team. I mean, that's her mentality, and that's what she's buying into right now. And this is how she's helping us right now. It's not about stats, and you know, she's doing a fantastic job for us.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mike White's squad with 13 wins against teams that are currently ranked. Trying to add to that total as we begin the 5th and avoid the upset trend around the nation. Again, in case you missed it, 5 of the top 6 teams in the country have already lost this week. Texas, the lone one that hasn't, as Sydney Collazos leading off the top of the 5th.
Yeah, 6 of the top 10 losing last night. Washington having a bye week, so not playing, but Texas, Duke, and Stanford, the only ones not to drop a game last night.
This one sent to right center, sliding in, Caden Henry, patrolling center field as usual.
Well, Alex, when she was up to bat, you talked about how great her defense has been. Her speed allows her to cover the gap. This a 4-point slide, knowing she can keep it in front of her. Great defense by Texas, and none other than the freshman, Caden Henry.
She's probably the best defensive center fielder Texas has had in a decade since Brigé Washington was out there in center, making highlight reel plays week in and week out. So what away now for Aaliyah Binford. Falls behind 0-2. Mike White said the key to that Oklahoma series was Texas's defense. He said, listen, our pitching isn't getting the same strikeout numbers that we had a year ago. The defense has to be on. And nobody could get to that one as it bounces in for a base knock.
Designated player, Leah Grant.
Well, and to Coach White's point, high strikeout rates, they're flashy. They're fun for fans to see a pitcher be able to dominate. But when you're the defense, a lot of times, even when you get the high strikeout rates, sometimes you get caught on your heels because you just assume that the swing and miss is coming. But Texas defense having to be on their toes because balls do get put in play, but not incredibly hard. We saw Vivi Martinez in that Oklahoma series make an incredible number of plays on ground balls that weren't just right at her. Mia Scott was working over there at third base as well. So when Texas takes pride in their defense and really is able to back their pitchers up, it makes it tough because their pitchers do spin the ball and locate the ball extremely well.
Baylor's defense has had their moments this season, top 25 in the country in double plays. But the Bears trailing by 2 here. Tying run at the plate, and Leah Cran. Runner is going. The throw on to second, and safe is Binford. Just her second stolen base of the year.
Well, Binford, not one that you highlight running, but Katie Stewart trying to frame this pitch a little bit too much, and Binford easily in there well before the throw. That's a case, in my opinion, Baylor just catching Texas sleeping a little bit. Binford noticing that Stewart's working on framing pitches.
But Czech responds with a strikeout.
Well, just the second strikeout for Czech. A backdoor curveball elevated a little bit. Leah Cran under that one. Second out with Baylor still threatening with Binford in scoring position.
Anna Watson sends one into the gap. That will score Binford. And a 2-out RBI single by Anna Watson pulls the Bears back within 1.
Well, right now, Baylor being aggressive early in the count. You see Watson going after the first pitch. Estelle Czech is 13 for 16 on first pitch strikes to Baylor since entering this game. She's going to have to use that off speed or stretch the plate if she's going to get miss hits or swing and misses on the first pitch to the Baylor hitters.
Strike one to Ashlyn Walkendorf, who made that tremendous grab in center field. And Kat, as you mentioned earlier in the midweek contest against UTSA, delivered the game-winning RBI single in the 7th inning. A player who wasn't even supposed to be a starter this year, was mainly supposed to be used as a pinch runner. But due to all the injuries they've suffered, she has become an everyday starter in center.
You see Coach Moore talking to her, probably trying to get her just to understand the situation, not trying to make too much of it, continue to just pass the bat and then let Emily Hott work. But her speed also allows them to have a little bit of short game, and Baylor usually is known for some short game along with base stealing. They have a lot of speed, a lot of athletes that can be a triple threat at the plate on the left-hand side, but not as much short game from the Bears this year.
That one misses from Czech. Still Czech. A couple of strikeouts, no walks. 2 runs allowed coming out of the pen. Walkendorf takes one down the line. That's going to be a fair ball. Rounding the bases is Watson, and she will hold up at third. A 2-out double for Walkendorf. It's the Longhorns. Tua.
Well, the experience for Hott against Texas last year allows her to come into this series with a lot of confidence. And that's confidence that she's been carrying all throughout the year. Has to be the leadoff hitter for Baylor. Has to be able to set the tone. Obviously, didn't get the win last night, but still offensively was able to show that she's capable of starting to turn things on for Baylor.
Count evened up at 2 to the 5th-year senior Emily Hott. Poked over to short. Martinez loses the handle, but recovers in time. Oh my! Of the 4th inning, and Baylor answering moments ago in the top half of the 5th. Here we go, 1-run game. Again, Baylor has played in 13 one-run games on the season. And Glenn Moore said he loves to rely on his starting pitchers going deep into these games. A shorthanded bullpen has caused some problems at times, so he will stick with Binford for as long as he can.
Well, shorthanded, and also just the consistency of his bullpen. He has Casey West and Riley Crandall, but his example to us was Crandall threw a one-hitter against Iowa State on a Friday game, and Saturday he went to use her in the bullpen, and four hits in the first 5 hitters. When she went in, he wanted, just asking for the consistency of hitting spots and being able to throw your off-speed, locate pitches. So he likes to see his starters go as deep as possible so he doesn't have to play the guessing game on what he's getting out of his bullpen.
Swing and a miss. And the strikeout of Mitchell by Binford to begin the bottom of the 5th.
Well, no, I am not just sitting here on repeat, but another changeup that Texas is unable to come up with in a 2-strike count. Binford using that pitch to her benefit in crucial situations.
4 strikeouts for Binford. Dayton gives one a ride to deep center, and Bella Dayton has left the yard. That is her first home run of the season. And again, Texas with a little bit of breathing room.
I'd have to believe after seeing Jolie Mitchell be victim to the changeup, Bella Dayton said, "This is a hard pitch and over the heart of the plate. I am going to be aggressive." She drives that right back up the middle. Just clears the wall out there, dead 220.
Ashton Maloney swinging on the first pitch. Drifting back is Wackendorf for the 2nd out of the inning. Texas now with 46 home runs.
Third baseman, Nina Scott.
In what is their 40th game of the season. And they're right at their average on the season of about 7 runs per game.
Well, Alex, every time Baylor has scored, Texas has responded. There is one inning in which Texas scored and Baylor did not, and that's the 3rd. But when you talk about the 1st, 4th, and 5th, every time Baylor starts to mount a comeback, bottom half, Texas says, not so fast. They've been able to respond in various different ways. But that response is something Coach White and his staff are going to probably be praising come the end of the game.
Well, and how big was that play to end the top half of the 5th inning, that close play at first? Instead of having a tie game with the go-ahead run at 3rd, Texas ended the top half still up by 1 and now up by 2.
And that's a situation where defense can now feed into offense. The momentum of a big play like that, Vivi Martinez recovering, getting a crucial 3rd out. And then offensively, they come out and really try to make things happen. And as we talked about, if you need some inspiration or some intensity, look no further than Bella Dayton, and she does it on the first pitch she sees.
Count now 3-1 to Mia Scott. Martinez waiting in the wings. And it misses. This is the part of the order that has done a lot of damage today. Martinez and Atwood have combined for 5 hits. And here is the sophomore, Vivi Martinez. Pitch number 95 on the day for Binford. In there for strike 1.
Well, smart by Vivi Martinez, not being overly aggressive after Binford walked Mia Scott, but that pitch was right over the heart of the plate.
Falls behind 0-2. It was Martinez's play at short that ended the top half of the inning, recovering just in time. On the way. Texas with 6 earned runs in this one. 11 hits off Binford. Martinez ahead of that one.
That inside pitch there is what Coach Singleton talks about, that Vivi Martinez is working so hard on being able to get her barrel to. She can drive that for a base hit as well, but right now able to foul off both sides of the plate against Binford until she sees something she can get her barrel to. But also working on being a little bit shorter to the ball, just trying to get her barrel there, not swing for so much power and leave the yard. So you won't see really big swings from Vivi Martinez right now.
Just a split second early there from the sophomore. #1 infielder in the nation, coming out of Tolleson, Arizona. And again, set a Texas freshman record a year ago for runs driven in. That'll drop in there in front of Walkendorf. Rounding the bases is Dayton, heading home and thrown out at the plate. No, Mia Scott slides in there safely. Texas extends their lead 8-5. What hustle by Mia Scott, flying around the bases.
Well, Vivi Scott drives this into the gap, and Vivi Martinez drives this into the gap. Mia Scott with her speed. Coach White actually holding her up, but Mia Scott running through the stop sign.
Remember, Baylor is out of challenges.
Diving into home there, but yeah, out of challenges, so they cannot review this one. Actually, looks like Flores might have got her leg, but you also see her still reaching for Scott as Scott crosses the plate.
Atwood drops one into foul territory.
But nonetheless, Texas with their 10th run with 2 outs here in this series. 10 of 22 runs have come with 2 outs, which it is so hard sometimes to secure that 3rd out, especially against hot-hitting teams that are continuing to make in-game adjustments.
Count 0-2 now to Reese Atwood, who's 3 for 3. Doesn't chase that one.
You see Binford now at 100 pitches. Coach, to have your arm throwing that many this early in the game, to be honest.
Atwood over to second. Cran is there, and the inning comes to an end, but Texas tacks on 2 more. Begin the 6th.
Well, Mac Morgan going to stay low in the zone, use a drop ball on both sides of the plate. Will occasionally throw a show me rise, but for the most part, just going to hammer the lower part of the zone, try to force Baylor into some ground outs.
Presley Pylon, the former transfer out of LSU. Former top 10 recruit in the nation. And Baylor had only scored 3 total runs in their previous 2 games combined. They've already put up 5. But tough to keep up with one of the highest scoring teams in the nation as Pylon is retired. Estelle Jack lasted 4 innings replacing Citlali Gutierrez. Couple of runs allowed, no walks, and 2 strikeouts.
Estelle Jack coming in, doing the job she needed to do. Baylor threatened more often than not, but was able to limit them to just the 2 runs.
One away for Shaylin Govan. Drove in a run with a sac fly in the 4th. Former star for Stephen F. Austin. I love what she said when Stephen F. Austin used to play Baylor every year. She said Glenn Moore would scare her. She said he looked so mean. But then when she got to know him, met him through the portal, she said he's the complete opposite, cares about his players so much, always looking out for them. She said he has been like a second dad for her in Waco, right down to the dad jokes he constantly delivers to his team, which I and any other dad can relate to.
I don't know that I've ever thought Glenn Moore looked scary. Don't get me wrong, he is tall and muscular, but usually there's a smile on his face. And even when there's not, you can just seems to be very practical and into the game, but to each their own.
Govan brings her team right back into the game with a solo blast. Make it an 8-6 contest. Baylor is not going down quietly.
Well, this is the offensive output that Glenn Moore has been waiting for. Shaylin Govan gets a pitch over the heart of the plate. That is served up, and she just absolutely demolishes that one. But Coach Glenn Moore talks specifically about their series against Kansas. They walked away, not a single win, and he said, we hit the ball so well, just right at people. Not today. Today they're getting them to fall. They're finding the gaps. They're continuing to put pressure on Texas's pitching staff to make better pitches and continue to mix speeds.
That was the 43rd home run of Govan's impressive career. Now Texas will have an
elevated mid-thigh high.
Abby Flores chops one over to Martinez. 2 away. Baylor with 6 runs off 10 hits. Texas 8 off 12. 2 away for Sydney Collazos, who singled in the 1st inning. Down the line, right to Jolie Mitchell. So more. That is unbelievable. Again, 5 of the top 6 ranked teams in the nation have lost this week. Like you said, Oklahoma State losing back-to-back games to Iowa State. Texas trying to avoid the upset here with the 5, 6, and 7 batters due up in the bottom of the 6th inning. Katie Stewart walked in the 1st. Again, Baylor has continued to battle all season long. Lost their ace in February, Dariana Orm, 2 of their top hitters, Amber Tobin, Mackenzie Wilson. One of their top prospects in the circle, Lexi Warnke. They still have beaten 5 different ranked teams and hanging right with Texas. But time, obviously, now a major factor in this one.
Well, time a factor in this one and in season. Coach Moore talking about how after all the adversity faced with their players going out, he felt like it took this group a little bit of time to gel and really get going again without those 4, but he felt like they were competing well, just not getting the outcomes. Feels like they're at that turning point. But again, you're talking the home stretch of season now where you're trying to make sure your last 10 are real strong, that you have a resume that the committee can look at and seed you appropriately.
There is strikeout number 100 on the season for Aaliyah Binford. That leads the Big 12.
Well, it wouldn't be a strikeout today for Aaliyah Binford if it wasn't on a changeup. Another strikeout looking of the freshman Katie Stewart on a changeup. Aaliyah Binford able to locate that pitch well against the hot-hitting freshman.
1 away for Alyssa Washington. Due up for the Bears in the 7th inning. will be their 6, 7, 8 hitters, led by Aaliyah Binford. Chopped foul off the bat of Washington. Texas looking for their 14th win of the year against teams that are currently ranked. They've already beaten 4 top 10 squads. Mike White said they didn't want to have any excuse this year for not being able to potentially host a super. Put together an incredibly tough schedule.
Well, in 2022, obviously, they were outside even the realm of hosting a regional, sent to Seattle, and were able to work their way to the World Series. And then last year hosted the regional, but lost the bid for the super, and Coach White and his team really just going to work on what they needed to do to be able to have all the boxes checked that the committee looks at. And you look at the strength of schedule, the RPI, your wins for quad 1, your wins in top 25, all of that plays a factor, but they have done a great job this year of not just scheduling, but executing.
Washington launches one to left. That's her 7th of the year. Texas with their 2nd home run of the game, and they make it a 9-6 contest.
Well, for the 4th straight time in this contest, when Baylor scores, Texas answers. Alyssa Washington drives this inside pitch. Smooth swing, and it clears that left field fence easily. The captain leaving the yard.
She continues to set a new career high again with her 7th of the year. With that, Texas up by 3. And here comes Caden Henry.
We've got to love that offensive production 1 through 9 for Texas. It's not just the top of the order. It's not just the bottom of the order. Everyone has been able to produce in the first 2 games of this series so far. And for Baylor, it doesn't really give you any opportunity to take the foot off the gas and take a breather. You have to just continue to stay in the game. Binford has to continue to just attack and really work her corners. But that's why Texas is one of the most potent offenses in the country.
Came in as the 6th highest scoring team in the nation, averaging just over 7 runs per game. Again, number 6 in offense, number 5 in ERA. Henry pokes one over to short. Pylon is there.
During batting practice, that grad student housing takes a beating, and today it was Jordan Whitaker who shattered one of the first floor windows. Actually ended her round as soon as it broke. She almost stepped back in the box, and she was like, you know what, I'm just going to call it around, and walked out.
These guys are waiting for a souvenir. Now, there are 2 layers of glass there. The outside, as we said, Whitaker broke a week ago. Katie Stewart did the same during batting practice. The inner pane of glass is a lot stronger. It's supposedly unbreakable.
I think if we're tallying, I think 3 windows have been broken so far.
They were doing construction out here. When the game first started, there was a guy on the crane out there. But he got off that thing before Texas hit a couple of home runs.
And there's someone up there on that little eaves right there doing some work. There's the broken window. So.
Both panes look broken to me.
Yeah, I think
and the blinds as well. Somebody is peeking through the blinds.
Are the blinds tinted? That'll tell us did the ball go all the way in.
That one misses as the count goes 2-2. Texas with 13 hits today after coming up with 16 last night.
Good eye Yeah, by Whitaker there, not chasing that changeup. And that grad housing, Alex, actually reminds me, my first job at DePaul University, they had a dorm in right field, so left-handed power hitters were constantly trying to pull it. Students had bullseyes and all sorts of things in the windows for the girls once softball season started. Have to wonder once they start getting grad students in there, how many will, you know, maybe play around with the bullseyes or the hit it here signs.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd feel safe over there. Texas lives for that during batting practice.
I think I'd feel safer up at like the 4th or 5th floor.
Payoff pitch on the way. Chopped over to Pylon. And here we go, 7th inning coming up. Baylor down to their last 3. Binford slices one foul. She threw right around 125 pitches in the circle today. The Bears, you get a look at Katie Simmons taking over at first defensively for Texas.
Well, it's been a back and forth game, but Texas was really able to be patient against Binford, and not every deep count worked in their favor, but they were able to force her to throw a lot of pitches. Which, while that has kept the game has still been close today, that could eliminate her from the conversation in throwing in Game 3 tomorrow.
Morgan with the sub-2 ERA on the season. Martinez charging, scooped up nicely over it short.
Well, this looks like a bouncer that's going to get up the middle, and Vivi Martinez says, not today. Nice pick on the short hop, a throw on the run. It's this pick out in front, though. That is smooth by Vivi Martinez.
Mike White has said when Mac Morgan is pitching, the defense has to step up. She induces a lot of ground balls. Martinez made the play there. One away here in the 7th inning. And a pinch hitter up for the Bears, Casey West. Junior, who delivered a walk-off hit and a dramatic come-from-behind win over Missouri earlier this year.
West was recruited as a two-way player. She can play defense in the infield. They've used her at second, short, and third. She also pitches. But again, we've talked about it. The short staff that Coach Glenn Moore has right now, he has to be very selective, and when he lets her and Binford swing the bat, he felt like she was starting to come into her own, being able to hit a little bit more often, but then with the injuries, has had to limit her there as well.
There's a strike to West as the count goes 2-1. Hitters count coming up to West, who beat Texas last year in the circle, allowed just 1 run in 6 innings. Last night, struggled a bit in that category. Full count coming up.
Not a bad take there by West. That pitch well executed by Mac Morgan, tight and in. Morgan trying to nibble at the bottom of the zone, but hasn't gotten Baylor to chase anything out of the zone.
Snared by Washington. Some nice defense from the middle infielders here in the 7th, 2 away. Texas looking to take this series. It'll be up to Anna Watson to keep this game going. And Baylor swept the Longhorns last year. First time they had done that since 2018. Glenn Moore told us, I don't think Texas is going to forget about that. Longhorns have responded this year by taking the opener 14-1, and they're 1 out away from winning this one.
Well, Coach Glenn Moore talking about that sweep and said he turned around and next thing he knows, brooms were coming out of the dugout, and he was like, not something I necessarily was for, but he goes, it probably added more fuel to Texas's fire this season. And Texas has really come out with a vengeance in this series so far.
Mia Scott is there. And the Longhorns take this series, winning game 2 by a final of 9-6.